Welcome to an episode of the Fat Cats podcast. We have a new sheriff in town, a new fly half. I have been drafted considering Ruben fears cold weather and he has other things to participate in. We have a new guest here. We have a person who is very familiar in Chadondo territory. When you enter Chadondo, it says this is Buffalo territory. And we have one of their very own, Edgar Lemiraga, known as Coach Edgar. Nice to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. Most people always get that name wrong. It's
Yes.
Lemiriga.
Lemiriga. Oh, wow. Tongue twister, eh? Yes. Good to have you here. Many people don't know that you actually played for the national team. Could you just drive us through that, how you had your career in the beginning?
Okay, I started rugby. Maybe I was one of the pioneers of Buffaloes. 1999, 2000 from high school. I remember the first coach was called Glenn Catmel, Samuzungu. Yeah, I went ahead to play for Buffaloes, went to Heathens, played for Pirates at one point, came back to Heathens. Okay, before going to Heathens, I played for Pirates, then came back to Heathens, and went back to play for Buffaloes and started coaching them from 2012 to date. And I can say that I've handed over. There's a new sheriff in town, like you said, in Charles Onen. So I'm going to be more in the background to help him push the team further.
Wow,
But
wonderful.
with the national team, like you asked, yes, I did play mostly sevens under Tolbert Onyango. I did one Commonwealth game in 2006 in Melbourne, Australia. I did a couple of sevens tournaments in Dubai and South Africa. I did a qualifier in Tangier in North Africa. I've played in Zambia, Zimbabwe. Yes, 15s I didn't play much. The best I did in 15s was the under 23 Uganda A, but I was more known for sevens rugby.
Wow. When we promised you we'll be bringing you rugby royalty, we did not lie. From our last episode last week to now, this episode this week, we have rugby royalty, especially in the coaching field and sevens. Good. Quick recap. We had a long hiatus from rugby, but we have had a few tournaments in between from the last time Ginger Hippos came out on top to get their maiden win. We have had the core qualifier rugby series. These were held over the weekend, Independence Weekend, at Wankuluku Stadium, that will later on host women's games. We have also had the Immy Mudoola tournament, and I have a lot to say about that tournament, where there was plenty of age grade rugby development in terms of the women. And then we're going to have a little bit of women's rugby coming up. So this will be the steering wheel of our discussion, rugby, and more rugby. Well, before we start, we would want to send a shout out to our venue sponsor, that is Fred and Winnie B&B, greatly described on Google as a true oasis in Kampala, luxurious homestay and spot-on ambience for a value for money proposition. So wherever you have a chance to get away from the hustle and bustle of Kampala City, looking for some nice Wi-Fi, a serene environment, perfect meals from a chef, kindly do not hesitate to reach out to Fred and Winnie B&B located in Kisasi. The details of number and location will be dropped in the description of this video, and you will be hosted very well for a fare, and tell them a Fat Cat sent you. Now, core qualifier series, we had Rhinos come out on top, and Rhinos will be playing the Now Special Sevens next year. Did you participate in this tournament as a coach, or you just were a fan on this one?
I was a fan.
Yes.
And to be honest, we didn't expect less from Rhinos. They were the favorites and they didn't disappoint. Yes, I went and watched a few games. I'd like to say that there's a lot of good talent up country, and we need to invest time and resources to tap into that. It's the size, the height, the speed we're all looking for. I saw a couple of good boys. I joked with someone recently that now that I'm moving on from being a full-time coach in Buffaloes and doing other things, one thing I would like to do is actually go and spot talent up country, pick those boys, give coaching clinics. Maybe one day I'll ask for a wild card and ask for to fill the team in one of the series. A combination of someone from Arua, Barara, Tororo, mention it, just a wild card to see to show the world that we actually have naturals in Uganda, rugby players.
Yeah. So to the Uganda Rugby Union, we have a TIO here, a TIO, a talent identification officer. In the event that you need any talent to be identified, here is your guy. Rhinos came out on top of in that tournament. We saw a video on Twitter where there was a basketball pass in the air before they eventually scored a try, and they will be in the series next year, where they managed to beat up on Elgon Wolves from Bale 1912 at Wankulukuku Stadium. As you said, you were a fan. Describe the turf, considering women are going to play there in a few weeks' time.
To be honest, a couple of the fans are asking questions. Why take rugby to Wankulukuku? Take this from me. I was there. It is one of the best turfs to host this tournament, and let's not shy away from going to Wankulukuku to support the ladies when the time comes. Please go in big numbers. They need our support. The pitch is very lovely. Actually, it was my first time to go there, but it's a very beautiful place. Please come support the ladies. We need to do this.
Well, you've heard it from the coach himself. Let's go. The Immy Mudoola Cup. This is a tournament that is held annually in commemoration and also in tributes to a great servant of the game. That is Mama Immy Mudoola, who is a mother to a few of the rugby playing Mudoolas. That is Fred, Timothy, and Charlotte.
That is not few to me.
We have plenty of rugby families in Uganda, and every family that puts in its contribution deserves a tournament in their honor. And this tournament had nearly 3 or 4 age grades. We had the under 10s, we had the under 14s, under 17s, and under 20s that played out in a tournament at Chadondo on Sunday. And we had actually quarters, Rugby Academy, coming out as victors in under 10s. We had KTC coming out victors in under 14. We had under 17 won by the Chadondo Peacocks. I don't know if the Kalolis at Chadondo are feeling aggrieved by the choice of name Peacocks as opposed to Kalolis. And then under 20, we had the ladies ones coming out on top. Considering you weren't, you were the other side at Wankulukuku, maybe I could take lead on this and just say this is a tournament that is its second edition this year, and is hosted in commemoration and in tribute to Mama Immy Mudoola. She was present to see of the girls who participated and give out accolades to those who came out on top. Now, we outsourced some of our research as fat cats to our Helen Butebe, and she gave us some tidbits of information about this tournament and the contribution Immy Mudoola has done to the game. She was part of the pioneers in pushing women's rugby in Chadondo when it was introduced, I think, in 2002, 2003. And she has been a home for very many lady rugby players and fans as well, where she has managed to host very many people in their household and pushed her children to greater heights in Ugandan rugby, for which we are deeply grateful and appreciative. So that is a brief background, and perhaps one day, one time, we'll have her story to be told on the podcast.
Actually, to add weight to your story, I was there before I went to Wankulukuku.
Oh, yes.
I met her, said hi to her, watched a couple of games. very impressive. The future of the ladies game is actually very bright. If you ask me, the easiest way we can raise our flag, I know the national sevens team is doing it, is through the ladies. If we throw our weight there, and yes, the future is very bright. I watched a couple of games. We have lots of good talent. We just need to keep them together and give them the resources they need. And thanks again to Mama Immy.
When you talk about talent identification, I think that's one of the things that has helped Ugandan rugby spur its growth of late. We have had, especially when you look at the men's section, when you had tag rugby, being able to develop talented players, the likes of Norbert Okeny, Philip Okorach, Aaron Oforoth, and very many others. And what critical steps do we need to do as a union, as coaches, as fans to grow the ladies' game to the point where it can be self-sustaining?
To start with, we need to support them in terms of resources. Resources, most people think it's only money, but coaches, qualified coaches, referees, management in those different clubs up country, it looks like, for lack of a better word, the ladies are in quotes neglected, but that's not the case. I'll speak for the union as well. I don't want to be coach, but yeah, we can actually support the ladies better in some of those areas. Of course, the money aspect takes lead here because everything will call for money. But yes, thanks to people like Mama Imi, these tournaments are exposing the talent, and now we need to go ahead and follow up with the kids we have identified. For example, personally, I think there's not enough follow up between age grade and the players who are transitioning into proper contact rugby. If we could get the systems running, as basic as the university league, intensify the schools tournaments, I think we'll get it right.
You know, for all the podcasts we have had, we always come back to that issue, how to grow the game. I hope we can pick a few lessons from this and grow the game. It's important that you mentioned that it's not just money. I was told by Helen that even Immy Mudoola has facilitated aspects of kits as well, to kids playing apparel that can be able to, one, you know how a new jersey, you know Buffaloes, your new jerseys all the time, how they cause fanfare at Chadondo and on the timeline on Twitter. So those such contributions are very critical for the game to grow. And fans out there watching, we hope that you can pick a leaf, and we'll also tell you on any initiatives that need to be done to help grow the game of Ugandan rugby, especially for the women.
Now that you've actually hinted on Buffaloes as new jersey, tomorrow we'll be launching our new kit, home and away. I think it is exciting. There's something that is coming. Watch out for it, and I can't wait myself.
Wonderful. So, Buffalo Nation, take note, a jersey unveiling is going to take place at Chadondo on Thursday, so don't miss out.
It's actually going to take place at the Toyota offices.
Wow, okay.
But you will not miss anything.
Activate your notifications on the Buffalo's Twitter pages, and you'll get wind of what you have to put on come Saturday. Now, talking about Buffaloes, let's usher the conversation on the Buffalo Sevens. One, this is Buffalo's first circuit to ever host, correct?
Correct.
So many fans need to know what to expect going into this seventh circuit. It's the final circuit. There's been a lot of up and downs on the table, at the top, at the summit of the table, and also at the bottom of the table. So what do we rugby fans expect coming into this weekend at Chadondo?
Let's start with on pitch. Actually, we are looking at the number 1, 2, 3. But for me, the exciting battle is the relegation battle. There are 3 teams; any of them can still go down, and that's where I think the real final will happen. On top of the table, that is an I wouldn't say it's an easy one for me, but it's not going to be as exciting as the relegation battle. Let's That is on pitch for me. Off pitch, I happen to be actually as a chairman to this tournament. Like I said, I've moved on, not moved on from coaching, but I'm transitioning to other things. Onen Charles will be taking lead, but doesn't mean I'm not going to coach again. So I happen to put up my hand to chair this committee, the organizing committee at Buffalo's Stroke Chadondo, to make this happen. I will tell you for a fact that close your eyes, picture what happened at the Africa Sevens, minus the rains, of course.
Yes.
Have that picture in your mind and come knowing that you're going to have something similar this weekend.
Yeah. Rain aside, we now trust Chadondo's capability to handle rain. We have rainmakers, and if they don't work that day, we have Big Phil, who is responsible for doing away the water on the pitch.
Actually,
People from
Edwin,
Singapore have consulted him as well.
Someone told me that if you fail to get those guys, you're the next best.
My skills are going to be looked into. Going ahead, table standings. You mentioned the battle at the bottom is going to be very key. We have at the bottom, we have Warriors, Walukuba Barbarians, and Plascod Mongas, separated by a point. Mongas at 57, Barbarians and Warriors tied at 58. This is going to be one hell of a battle, considering the groups that they're in. Warriors is in Pool A against Hippos, Rhinos and Jaguars. Walukuba is in Pool B with KOBs, Buffaloes, and Tanzania Selected has been replaced, to my information, by Stallions.
Yes.
And then Mongas is going to be with Stanbic Black Pirates, Sailors, Box in Pool D. Question is, will your team survive the drop? Rhinos are waiting. They are participating in the tournament, but they're waiting to see who is going to take the drop and they can replace them. Now, to the summit of the table, we have Ginger Hippos leading the pack with 109 points. We have Heathens with 102. And KOBs, who started slowly, are down in third with 93 points. And this appears to be a 2-horse race, but we can throw in a third one and add in KOBs. What do you have to say about the top? How is it going to be like?
You're right. KOBs stands a very slim chance, but for now I'll concentrate on the top 2. With my mathematics here, I think Ginger Hippos stands the bigger chance to take it. All they have to do is finish 1, 2, 3, even if Heathens wins it. But like I said before this podcast,
Yes,
many people have already drawn the flight path for this tournament and most of the teams. But I expect very many surprises, and you'll quote me right or wrong after the tournament. But that's the feeling I get. We think that a certain Buffaloes is going to go through, or KOBs, or I'll leave that for the day. Let's not make the quarterfinals before the games are played. So wait for Saturday and see who goes through.
you mentioned about chokers in this tournament. Can you explain what is your view about the long break that we have had from the Ginger Sevens till now? How is that going to impact the preparation of teams?
For starters, I think it was good. There's been a lot of travel. The bodies were tired. Players, I mean, we need to manage players. That's player welfare. The breaks were very important. I believe by now those who are injured are back, so that we are going to have full strength sides. to give you the quality of rugby that you expect to see on Saturday. Bodies are rejuvenated, and we expect the crackers on pitch and the shockers that I'm talking about. There's no sure team for me to top any pool here. That I insist. There's no sure team, but let's wait for the day.
Yes, Safari Sevens. Safari Sevens were cancelled by Kenya Rugby Union. So we expect full strength sides from all the teams that are going to participate. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, considering we've discussed the standings and what's at stake in regards to the tournament, I would want to pick out a few games. Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to pick out a few games that I think are going to have the crowd on their feet when these teams face off. Round one, I think a very critical game that needs to be watched is Impis versus Rams.
True.
Both teams have had fascinating turn-ups in different circuits. There is this video of Michael Kalyango making rounds of Henry Sekuye and Emma Katuntu of Impis. So we expect a round two of that battle between Impis and Rams. And I think maybe considering Warriors up for relegation, I think Rhinos Warriors at 11 a.m. in round one is also going to be another hot-heated affair between both clubs.
Very true. That's a must-watch game.
Then round two would highlight perhaps Heathens Rams as well. Rams are no pushovers this tournament. They currently are seventh, but they have done a few upsets in this tournament in the group stages, so you wouldn't want to count them out of this. And we'd also have another game of maybe KOBs Buffaloes as well to see how the home side can show its dominance on the field. And then when we come to round three, you'd look at Impis Heathens at 3:40, and then maybe another one for Warriors survival chances, that is against Ginger Hippos at 5 p.m.
I think there's a game you've missed in round three. Mongas Pirates is always an exciting game to watch. You never know who will take the day.
Oh yes, and Mongas, considering they're also fighting for their lives, they will also have to face that battle with the early promisers, who are now just looking at the bunch and seeing where they can come and steal third from KOBs. Yeah, so going ahead with that, now I come to the fanfare, the Nigos affair. What do we expect in terms of action off the field?
Like I said earlier, close your eyes and visualize what happened at the Africa Rugby Sevens. We intend to bring that picture back to Chadondo this weekend, not the rain, I insist. We'll have a stage. We'll have a stage with two artists on Saturday and two different artists on Sunday. So we will not give you a repeat of the artists. And then we'll have a food court and a food court towards the washing bay, where we intend to give you a giant screen, yeah, and a chilling area. You can go and watch the games on screen. If you want to watch the replays or chill with the bidet, come and watch live action. Then we will have lots to eat, lots to drink. It's going to be a full carnival. Like I said, just visualize what happened during the Africa Rugby Sevens.
Well, if you attended the Rugby Africa Sevens, I was there. It was a full-blown out party. So expect nothing more, nothing less, other than a carnival hosted by Buffaloes. Now, the elephant in the room, Ginger Hippos. Can they go all the way? Can Heathens, the Chadondo base side, pull up an upset? You mentioned that all Hippos need to do is finish third. How can there be an upset? Or how can we prepare ourselves for a Hippos win?
Hippos need to take each game at a time. Every game is a final for them. Make the quarter, make the semi, and go past the semi. That is it. If they fail to go past the semi, they have to make sure that they take the third place. I think that will be sealed and stamped for them. If they do below quarters, Heathens wins it. It's all over. So we still have an exciting battle at the top to see. And like I said, I hope they will not be too confident. Personally, I'm actually excited that they're on top. They are the most consistent team. I think they have played the biggest number of finals this tournament.
Yes.
Winning the last one. Kudos to them. I believe they deserve it. They do deserve it.
Well, so Hippos, the blueprint has been given by the coach. Play every game like a final, reach the semis, win that, and you're in gold. At times, teams, when they finish a semi-final of that nature and they are well aware that they have won the tournament, tend to relax in the final. Picture an event like Uganda, Zimbabwe in Africa Sevens, where we knew we had reached the World Cup and we had a chance for gold, but we kept on pushing. What advice would you give the Buffaloes in the events they reach the final?
The Buffaloes, we are home. We have the crowd. We have everything in our play. New coach, probably new kit, new fans. Why not? I think we stand a chance in this as well.
And any word to the Hippos as they go ahead and their fans? They have a caravan of fans who move all the way from Ginger, and they are trying to distort the status quo up there with Pirates Strong and Heathens Tuko. What do you have to say for their fans and the players as well as they wait for their final bow in the Nile Special 7 circuit?
I, as the chairman of the organizing committee, I'll be waiting for you at the gate. You're welcome. Come in big numbers. Let's all enjoy the game. Whoever wins will win. Whoever loses will lose. There's always another day to have another fight. And the beauty about this is after this game, as rugby players and fans, you find everyone seated together like brothers and sisters. And let's keep that spirit up there.
Wonderful. I would want to bring in the women's rugby. We have a tournament in roughly about 2 weeks' time. That is the Rugby Women's Africa Cup, where Uganda is pooled against Zambia and Kenya. As a former coach of the ladies' side, going into this tournament, what key indicators are you looking for, considering the ladies have not played in a while, apart from the sevens they played early this year?
The ladies are actually a very talented side. Yes, one of the undoings is game time, continuous games. But the time I coached them, I for the World Cup in South Africa, we had not played rugby, 15s rugby in about I think 4, 5, 6 years, and I was given a task to prepare a side first for the Elgon Cup. I think it was less than a month, if more than a month, 6 weeks. We went to Kisumu. We performed very well. Forget the results. We came back for round 2 at Chadondo. We still lost that game, but what I was looking out for was not the scores. We reduced the scores, and afterwards, I remember talking to the coach of Kenya. Asked me, "What have you changed in just 1 week?" I said, "Believe talking to them." When we met Kenya again in South Africa, believe me, it was a different story. The first half ended 3-0. Even guys in the team did not believe, fans did not believe that happened. Second half, there was something that happened. Maybe I will not discuss it here. And that's when Kenya took advantage. But all I'll tell you is that Uganda ladies rugby team is very, very good side. if we could put up such a performance against Kenya with all their 7 stars, and we didn't even play rugby in that long while, then I think you've played a lot more rugby after that. This is your time. You can beat Kenya, you can beat Zimbabwe, and I think we can qualify to the next round.
Well, it's important that you raise the aspect of potential. And maybe for those who don't know, the women's game has grown over time from when it was introduced in the early 2000s, and how they have managed to create as many clubs as possible. You had the Thunderbirds starting out as the pioneer club, and then all of a sudden you have the Sharks, the Avengers, you have very many teams, Black Pearls, you have the Panthers, you have the Iwis. Teams are consistently growing, and you're having the age grade rugby. Are we going to go back to the days when women's rugby in Uganda was at its peak? The days of Christine Kizito, Helen Buteme, and also considering that they once were the first team to go for a World Cup in Ugandan competitive sport.
Yes, if we continue with this trajectory, I believe so. And you've mentioned a very good point here that the teams are increasing in number, and I'd want to see this continue. If we have as many teams, which means there's much more games for the ladies, which just gets them better. That is one of the areas that we need to look at. Give them more game time, and before you know it, will be spoiled for choice in selecting the best side that should represent us.
Okay, wonderful. Early on today, the women's rugby team was selected. As you can hear in the background, there is a drop or a few drops of rain that have joined us today. Perhaps the compromise Chad Dondo and the Rainmaker have made is that the rain will fall today and not on Saturday and Sunday. So a few players have been picked, a 25 lady squad led by Peace Lekeru as captain. We have Charlotte Mudola, Lydia Namubiru, Nanyondo Angela, Rita Naduga, Christina Kelo, Aisha Nachitio, Grace Auma, Yvonne Najuma, Faith Namuga, Agnes Nakuya, Irene Zige, who is known as Ziggy, Winnie Atiang, Cabrin Chiravo, Mary Gloria Ayot, Immaculate Nisima, and many others. A producer will put the team on the page, and you can have that for your eyes. Now, going ahead, we will have a podcast specifically addressing the preparation of the women and how we best believe their chances going into this tournament. That will be next week. We have seen the fans take a lead drive when it comes to funding of the women's sport. It's a little bit neglected, but now Special has come on board. We have Protea on board now. We have Renzori. So the ladies are getting the sponsorship deals that in the past were not really a thing of the days. But now we have very many sponsors on board, and hopefully we can have more jumping in. As a fan, considering former coach and now fan, what do you think needs to change for the women's game to grow adequately to attract as many sponsors?
I think we are on the right track. More and more teams are coming on board. The more teams we have, the more games, and a reason for sponsors to come on board. Sponsors normally look out for visibility. If I remember, there was a time the ladies league was only 3 teams or so. I don't think you as a sponsor would be very happy to sponsor a league that's going to last just 1 month versus many teams of say 20, where a league is going to last for over 6, 5, 4 months. So I think we're on the right track. Let's have as many teams grow out there. Kudos to people like Mama Immy. That project is not going to let us down. That is only one way to increase the number of teams that will give us more games for the ladies to improve as themselves, and also to attract sponsors to be part of the ladies game.
Wow, that's wise words from Coach Edgar. As we wrap up here, we will just let you know that there's a fundraising drive that's ongoing on in regards to financing transport for fans to come, girls from other schools to come and watch their mentors in the game. And we will post this on our Fatcast channels. Thank you very much for watching the Fatcat podcast today. From Coach Edgar and myself, we sign out.